Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast with myself, Sam Hill, and as always I'm joined by
Harry Tovey
and
Ben Thomas.
In today's episode we're going to be talking about the Lewis Crocker Jose Felix card, talking about Jaime Munguia versus John Ryder, looking at the audio clips from the world of boxing, previewing next weekend's fights with Azeez, Buatsi and with Conor Benn versus Peter Dobson, and then just to finish things off, an extra special, Harry and Ben will be blind ranking some boxers. But before we get into that, Harry, obviously Newport fan, how was your weekend?
Good. Listen, who cares about the result? What a performance by the boys. Very happy, and yeah, nice weekend. Some good fights to talk about. Some controversial decisions, I think, from some refereeing point of view on Saturday night in Belfast. But yeah, good weekend. Nice and relaxing.
You've also got an orange mic, I've noticed. I like that.
I have. I've got my orange mic back now.
To represent Newport County.
It's
amber. Obviously what it's for.
It's amber. Newport County's amber.
Well, that's an amber mic.
Don't say that around Newport.
It's an amber mic then. What about you, Ben? How was your weekend?
Yeah, a nice quiet one for me. Bit of boxing. There was fighting everywhere this weekend, to be fair, in the football as well, with West Brom and Wolves.
What an
And that guy, did you see the picture?
Oh yeah, what an advert of a football mind.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of like what Americans think of British people, and there's all people dressed up in suits and all versus Europeans, and then just saw that picture of that guy with all blood in his head.
And there's a guy at Maidstone who went over the mental. Anyway, to the proper fighting, as I suppose we should talk about. I guess we'll start with the Munguia John Ryder fight, because I don't know about you boys, but I think we'll only really talk about that one fight on that card. And like you say, yeah, pretty one-sided. Would you say you were more so impressed by Munguia with the performance or disappointed with Ryder? What's your sort of general feeling on it?
Yeah, I thought Ryder done alright in spells. Like, the best spells of the fight for him was when he was putting pressure on, but I just don't think he could sustain it. Munguia was just picking him off him with some counter shots, and once he got caught, he was putting him up against the ropes. But I think we were expecting it to be a tough night for Ryder. He looked like he was going to get through the fight, but he got caught. What was it, 9th round in the end that he got stopped? And
yeah, 9th round TKO.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever going to win unless he caught him with a lucky punch, really.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be a lot closer than it turned out to be. 4 times Munguia dropped Ryder, so yeah. Does he deserve a Canelo Alvarez fight now after that?
Munguia?
Yeah.
I think he probably does deserve the fight, and I think for Mexico and for Mexicans it would be an interesting fight. I know obviously a lot of people are calling for the Benavidez fight as well, so I think either one of those fights would certainly be better than Jamal Charlo again, I forget which one it is, who he's linked with at the moment. It looks like Canelo's going to fight. I do think Munguia deserves that fight, but I don't know if it's a fight I would trust him to perform all that well in. Canelo's just not going to let you have the volume of punches that Ryder did. And if you do try and land that sort of volume of punches, you're going to have a damn sight, more coming back at you, which is what Ryder didn't do. So it'd be a tough night for Munguia, that fight, but it is something I want to see as a big Mexican card. It would be quite cool.
But we're seeing a lot more big Mexican cards being put together. Eddie Hearn, he's using that market in Mexico quite well. He's got, Mauricio Lara, so he can grow Munguia. But yeah, it was just an off night for Ryder, and it's just a shame really, because I think I predicted that it'll go to points, and for it to get stopped in the way it did, I was quite disappointed from Ryder.
Yeah, I think that's probably the end for him now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I can't see many other fights he's got out there.
At the press conference he said, if I lose this fight then it's over, it's done.
To be fair, he hasn't had a bad career. He's fought some good fighters, lost to him. Like, there's no shame in the fighters he's lost to, but no. I just don't think he's got anywhere else really to go now from here.
Did he take Canelo Alvarez the distance?
Yeah,
he did. Yeah,
I think that was the whole thing of this fight, to see how Munguia sort of handled Ryder compared to how Canelo. So I think that's the route they're going down, is Canelo Munguia next. It'll be massive in Mexico, but I think Canelo will get the better of him in that fight.
I think Canelo will probably prefer that fight to the Benavidez fight as well, just because I think Benavidez is probably a slightly loftier name and probably a slightly more difficult fight as well. But there is the narrative that people want to see him fight Munguia, so I'm all for it. I'd like to see it. It'd be an interesting one.
In Mexico, yeah.
Oh,
In Mexico.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's got to be done. Mexico City or Guadalajara somewhere. I don't know my Mexican arenas all that well.
Cancun. That's the only part of Mexico I know.
Yeah, something like that. And then to move on to the complete opposite of Ryder, a fighter who is at the start of his career and was mightily impressive in Belfast. Giorgio Vizioli got the second round knockout over Samuel Pikiri, and what a knockout it was. Obviously in the southpaw stance with that left hand. What did you make of his performance? Impressive?
Yeah, I didn't catch much of the fight. I seen the knockout at the end, but from what I've heard of it, it was quite a good performance quite early on in his career as well. So
this is where I'm going to come in now and say that the referee might have stopped it a bit too early, because I thought when he knocked him down and he got back up, when the referee waved his hands and he started like pushing him, and I thought, hang on a minute here, we might see another. Who was the guy in Saudi Arabia that punched the referee? David Adley. I thought we were going to see someone like that.
Yeah,
again.
It did look like it was going to spill over. It's a tough one because yes, I think that fighter could have carried on, but realistically, what probably would have happened is 15 seconds later he'd have been back on his arse and it would have been called off. So I can see what you mean, but I can also kind of see why there wouldn't be much point in carrying it on. I mean, it was a seriously impressive performance from Vizioli. He was bouncy, he was quick, he was moving in and out of range, he was using the whole ring, using the distance well, and then just catching Pikiri, who's only he was 4-2. So I think he's 4-2-0. I think actually going into the fight.
4-2-1.
Is he 4-2-1 going into the fight? So he's a decent fighter. He's not one of these the kind of fighter you often see people fight at the start of their career, which is like 12 and 14 or something like that. So yeah, that I was really impressed, and he's definitely one to keep an eye open for, I think, going forward. And then moving on up was a slight disappointment for us here. Obviously watching a Welshman, Lloyd Jermaine, unfortunately lost in the, I think again, was it in the third round? I think that one was
third
against Conor Walker. Who was, to be fair to him, was very, very good. I don't know what you boys thought of that fight, but I just generally thought it was just a slight mismatch in terms of Walker was slightly better on the day and proved that.
I think after watching the first round, I thought Jermaine can stay behind the jab and out jab him. He had the reach and everything, but yeah, I think Walker, was he now? He's 13-2-1. So
yeah,
and yeah, he's just an off night again for another Welsh fighter. But here's what it is, ain't it?
Yeah, I think Jermaine obviously didn't use the distance well enough to use
his first loss as well.
Walker put the pressure on him, caught him with some good heavy shots, and in the end that was it. But I think Conor Walker, he's got a good following. Wolverhampton he's from, and I think with the next fight, the Paddy Donovan fight, I think will be an interesting one. That'll be a good atmosphere if they could get that back in Belfast again.
Yeah, I mean, Paddy Donovan's being sort of linked to fight a lot of people. I've seen people saying he should be fighting Lewis Crocker. I've seen people saying he should fight obviously Conor Walker as well, and we'll move on to that Donovan fight. Another very impressive performance, I thought, and interesting actually, because previously I think I haven't seen all sort of 13 of his fights, but the last couple I've seen, other than this one, he won it quite comfortably, and it was nice to see him have to sort of dig deep in this one. The guy just wasn't dropping really, and it was a good fight, and things were coming back at him, but he just looks so comfortable in there when he is fighting.
Yeah, I think those are the type of fights where you see the progression the most, when they've got to dig in a bit, and it's not just every round it's quite easy from they're just going through the motion, where you in there and you've got to really attempt to get the person out of there. That's where you learn the most, I think, and improve as a fighter. But yeah, he's 13-0 now. Conor Walker is obviously 13-2, so it'll be I think
that's a good fight to make,
interesting one to set up. You got the WBA International against the WBA Continental, so I think that could be one they could go to.
Fair play to the Andreas Herrera, man. He was taking all these shots quite well, weren't he? Until that, was it a body shot that put him down, if I remember?
I think it was the body shot. Was it body shot and then like a straight right that dropped him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think yeah. But yeah, it was. He's another one. I think I can't remember which. Was it? It was the Katie Taylor Chantel Cameron card he fought on the undercard of, wasn't it? I think. Am I right in saying
I
that?
think you're thinking of Lewis Crockett there.
Oh no, I can't remember. There was one other fight that Paddy Donovan fought in that we've covered on the podcast, and I remember being particularly impressed with him then, and I am now, and he's one that I'm looking forward to. Here we go. I've got it here. What was the event he fought on? 25th of November was the Chantel Cameron, Katie Taylor undercard.
He knows his stuff. Oh, he's doing the Marcus Rashford now.
But yeah, he's one that I'm definitely I want to keep my eye on for the rest of the year, just because he fights a good fight and is really exciting. And then to move on to a fight that, I mean, I didn't expect it to be sort of this as one-sided as it was. I mean, it was an incredible performance from Cheveon Clark. I don't know what you boys made of over the whole fight, all 4 rounds of it.
Yeah, he looked very good. Considering he's started quite late as a professional, each round he was coming out, flying out to the blocks, putting the pressure on, which I think is exactly what he needed to do, put McCarthy under pressure, because it was win or bust really for him in this fight. And I think that's another one that you probably won't see much more of him now after that loss. But Cheveon Clark is he's put himself right in the mix now after that performance, and I think after the fight he was calling for a British title fight.
Isaac Chamberlain and all them, ain't it?
So you got the potential of Isaac Chamberlain or Vidal Riley is the other one, because Vidal also wants a British title, so you could probably set up a fight between them two, and whoever the winner takes on Isaac Chamberlain.
There's back-to-back defeats now for Tommy McCarthy, so as you said, Ben, I don't know where he goes from here, to be honest. He's former European champion, and he's just gone downhill since going over to Poland, I want to say.
Yeah, and it's a long way from the Tommy McCarthy that got a split decision loss to Chris Billum-Smith not that long ago. And obviously when you see now where Chris Billum-Smith's gone on to, he obviously won the rematch and then has gone on to be, he's world champion, and he's looking to fight, probably Richard Riakporhe. And then you look at Tommy McCarthy, who's just unfortunately lost this one. Like you say, I'm not saying it'll be his last fight, but it'll certainly be the last fight that has the sort of eyes on it that this one did, unfortunately. And then to move on to the main event, Lewis Crocker, Jose Felix. Obviously Crocker got the 5th round TKO against, Jose Felix 46-0, I think he was going into the fight, so a really impressive record.
Missing a good point here, mine.
What was that?
Lewis Crocker missed weight, so he was coming in at probably like a middleweight. So
he missed weight by what, 0.2 pounds?
He missed weight by 3 pounds.
3 pounds was it? Maybe I don't know.
Coming in at 150 pounds. So
yeah, it's not great. It's not a great look to come in that. And there was a couple of things within the fight. I think there was a Felix got a points deduction, I think, for a low blow at one point. And to keep fighting, we've seen fighters sometimes throw in the rag and go, I'm not doing it, or take a super long break after that. And he did fight through it and obviously went on to get the victory. Are you slightly cynical of that victory because he came in overweight, Harry, or are you still
I'm not,
him the
because
props?
What was it? He fought a couple of months ago, didn't he? On the Chantel Cameron, Kate Taylor undercard against Tyrone McKenna. So maybe that played into the factor that he had a good Christmas. He probably ate too many Christmas puddings like I did. But yeah, in all fairness, the Mexican native looked like he was fighting a middleweight. So if he what was it, a welterweight? Yeah, welterweight. So it could be hard done by there, Jose Felix. But he started okay with the first 3 rounds, using good footwork and all that. But yeah, I think experience and played into a factor. And as you said, 47-1. He's pretty much a journeyman now. You can probably call him with those records.
Yeah, possibly. I've just had a quick look. It was the Mick Conlan Jordan Gill fight he fought on the undercard of
Belfast, then.
Because that was like the week later, the week after, and it was but I mean, overall, I think it was a really good event as a whole, and there were some really good fights on there. Which I think there's a couple in a row now out of Belfast where we've seen some really good fights. So I'm all for more fights over there.
I'm more for as well having more fights in smaller venues like the Ulster Hall, like York Hall. They're my favourite fights to watch because of how close the fans are and how compact it is. Yeah,
small hall fights are a thing that as good as stadium fights can be. If a fight isn't worthy of a stadium fight, instead of going for these little arenas, sometimes those small halls are all the more better. And Belfast is a cheap EasyJet flight from Bristol Airport if we ever want to make a trip out of it at some point. Have you guys got anything else on that card, or is that all you have to say on the matter?
Didn't announce anything, did they, Saturday night? Tony Belly was there, speaking well. And Jordan Banjo.
Yeah. No, Ashley Banjo, wasn't it?
No, which one was it?
It was Ashley
Jordan. It was Jordan.
Jordan
He's
from
the one,
Diversity was...
What's he doing? I never knew he liked boxing. I thought he likes dancing.
I think he's a presenter, and they do say dancers make good boxers and vice versa. So maybe he's trying to, get the transfer and the skills over to boxing. Who knows? Anyway, to move on to some of the audio clips from the world of boxing. To start off with, I've got Lee Cutler talking about a possible fight for the future that people have been tipping to see.
I saw you and Joe Laws exchanging pleasantries over the festive period. Is that the fight that you're looking for? Is that the fight that you want next?
That's what's been mentioned as a defence of the English title. Like I said, I don't want to stay around the English title for too long. Joe Laws has just come off a great win with literally no camp. I think he had like 10 days notice. It was a little bit heavier than Super Welter, but Joe Laws should be a Super Welter because he's small. He's a midget.
So obviously Lee Cutler talking about he's got that English title and he wants to defend it against Joe Laws, who's 14-2. Came off the back of, like he said, a very short notice win over Michael Hennessy Jr., who's a impressive upcoming fighter, 11-1. And I think it's a fight that makes a lot of sense for me, particularly for Cutler, because I think he's someone who needs to make that next jump up to sort of British level relatively soon. So you just have that one fight to defend, and then you move on to a bigger fight. Is that a fight you guys would like to see, or have you got any other names you'd like to see Lee Cutler?
I think that has to happen in Bournemouth, don't it? Put it on the undercard of maybe Chris Billham-Smith, Richard Riakporhe.
Stick her on a Cardiff card so we can get one for once.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, just stick anyone in Cardiff. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Anyone.
I love watching domestic fights. So
that's a good fight, mine.
But yeah, I think
Joe Laws, he's a big talker, ain't he? Because we saw him in his last fight against Michael Hennessy. Michael Hennessy Jr. isn't the biggest talker, and yeah, he didn't belong on that stage at the press conference when Joe Laws was talking a lot of smack about him.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, and to do that on 10 days' notice is impressive. I don't necessarily know who else you would put him up against. I'm thinking you've got like Junaid Boston is in that weight category, but he's an upcoming fighter, and I don't know if you'd want to risk Cutler with that fight, because Boston is a very good fighter, and I think you want to build them up separately. And yeah, I think this one makes a lot of sense as a quick defense of the title and move on and get himself a bigger fight.
But he's fought 15 fights, 60 rounds, and has a KO % of 50. So he's got some power, Lee Cutler, and he's one probably to keep an eye on in 2024 to do big things.
Yeah, for sure. And he liked one of our tweets at some point. So
that's why we're talking about it.
That is, he remains a friend of the pod.
Do you think if they get that fight, it probably ends up on undercard of a Billham-Smith fight?
100%.
It makes the most sense. They're both from Bournemouth.
Could they do the traditional boxer thing of having Billham-Smith and Richard Riakporhe at like 9 o'clock, and then have Lee Cutler, Joe Laws later on in the night? But because if it doesn't happen in Bournemouth, though, that's the case. Maybe.
I think you could, but I don't know if Cutler's not Cutler, but I think Joe Laws against Cutler's not necessarily a fight you'd want to watch after a big fight like that. I may be thinking if you wait a fight and then wait till maybe Cutler fights for the British belt in the future, maybe you could have that after a Chris Billham-Smith card. But I mean, I certainly wouldn't complain if it was on after Billham-Smith Riakporhe.
Thing of the atmosphere, though.
Yeah,
Chris
exactly.
Billham-Smith just successfully defended, and then they get another Bournemouth fighter. Oh.
In the Vitality over the summer.
Yeah.
Could be.
Back-to-back years.
Could be.
Fingers crossed.
You also have the thing, and if Riakporhe batters him at Bournemouth, then
it's a bit
awkward.
awkward.
Flat atmosphere for that last fight then.
But then also it might be the case of Cutler then goes and batters him and the Bournemouth card
back up
again.
right
back up. Yeah, you could go on for
happy.
Yeah, you could go on for ages about what the possibilities are. And then moving on to an interesting clip that I think we spoke a little bit about it during the week, me and you, Harry. But Conor Benn was recently on Good Morning Britain, They gave him the kind of storyline of him clearing his name, supposedly, but this is what Conor Benn had to say.
Do you know what? Nothing could have prepared me for it, and it was hard to accept it. I think there's many things in my life that I've gone through, and this is no comparison. This is probably one of the worst things I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. It's one of the worst things I've ever gone through, and I'm willing to spend every last penny I have and fight to the death to prove my innocence. Because my name matters more to me than anything else.
So it's an interesting sort of thing with Conor Benn, because obviously the test is there that he has failed, but he seems to believe he's innocent. Do you think this is a case of him believing he can prove his innocence, and so he's just really fighting for that, or do you think he genuinely thinks he's been hard done by being forced to fight out of Nevada or wherever he is?
It's been months, hasn't it, of hearing the same thing of proving innocence, and there's been no change or progress towards this, or I don't know, for all we know, maybe he could one day prove that it was just all the eggs, but we haven't heard any different for the last few months, and he's still not fighting in the UK, still can't. Yeah, he's still not allowed to fight in the UK. It doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. And
well, maybe if he does a Misfits, get the Polish Boxing Association on board, he might be able to fight in the UK. But yeah, I think, didn't they say that he's been cleared of it on Good Morning Britain? Because that hasn't happened.
No, they did say, and he hasn't been.
Yeah.
But also, let's say for a moment, let's say Ben didn't do it and it was just the eggs. How is he going to prove it? Because he can't go test me now, because obviously it's past it. Is he going to go? He's going to knock on the door like every Tesco in the country and be like, "Have you got my receipt for the eggs I bought?"
Yeah. And
prove to that, oh look, I bought 30 eggs a week or whatever. I
think the example here though is that Conor Benn's he's saying outright that he hasn't done anything wrong, whereas Dillian Whyte also failed a drug test and he's been rather quiet for the past couple of months. So maybe he is innocent, but yeah, maybe next time Conor stop eating the scrambled eggs and have some poached instead.
Like you said, though, I think even if he was innocent, it's going to be hard to prove at this point. I think he just needs to probably crack on with the rest of his career, and hopefully he doesn't fail any more tests. I think that's the best he can do.
Do you think... Oh, God.
I don't know if we see him fight in the UK again.
Yeah, I was about to say, do we see Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn in the UK, or do you reckon our Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh will...
Our Excellency now, is that his name? You've upgraded him.
Yeah.
I think we could see it in Saudi Arabia. I don't see us seeing it in the UK, but equally I don't know how good a look that is for Saudi Arabia. I don't think they need that fight. His Excellency can make pretty much any fight in the world he wants. Why would you bring someone in who's got a bit of a question mark over their name?
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, he brought in Jarrell Miller, of course, so you never know. But
says a lot about him, don't it? We had to bring him up, didn't we?
But Jarrell Miller is I know Conor Benn Eubank would be the build up to that fight and everything. It would be fireworks, and it would probably be a very good fight as well. But I think Miller was brought in because if you're going to fight Daniel Dubois, you need someone who can say something, because he doesn't really have that stage presence. Imagine that press conference if it was just Dubois fighting someone I don't know. I can't remember back to it, but the Dubois Usyk press conferences can't have been much.
Yeah. Especially when you've got who was it? Frank Warren being his hype man. Don't let him say that to you, Daniel. Say something back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm crapping myself here, but yeah.
Oh no, he got the one good line in about being his daddy, and then.
Yeah, but how many times did he rehearse that in the mirror?
I think
the hotel bathroom.
He was there shadow boxing in the mirror, going, "Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?" Anyway, to move on to someone else who's been talking during the week, and I can't remember what event this was on actually, but it was Callum Smith. I've got two separate clips of him talking about his future and some possible fights you might see from him if he is to stay boxing. So we'll play through the first clip, have a chat about that, and then move on to the second.
I've always said, as long as I'm motivated, I'll fight till I feel like I'm probably at my best now. I'm in probably my physical peak, and I believe I'm improving all the time. It's not that sense as in I think I'm done because I lost. It's more I'm just motivated by becoming the best and being a world champion. And yeah, to go.
So obviously he said he's motivated by being a world champion and by being the best, and so possibly there's a little bit of motivation lost there because, he lost that fight against Artur Beterbiev. Do you think Callum Smith is still within a shout of a world championship, particularly with, Bivol and Beterbiev and people like that talking about moving up to cruiserweight? Or do you think it might be time to hang up the gloves?
I don't know. I think this weekend we've got a good fight with Dan Azeez and Joshua Buatsi, so maybe the winner of that could face him. But as he said, it's motivation at the end of the day, and I don't think there's many big paydays out there now for Callum Smith.
The fight that makes more sense is the Anthony Yard one, I think, on Matchroom and Queensbury. I think that's going to be the one if he fights again. But he's still a very good fighter. Like, the only 2 losses he's got
they're losses that you can say, okay, hold on.
Exactly.
2 of the best fighters out there, so there's no shame in it. But
particularly if Beterbiev goes on to beat Bivol, and then you can go, okay, well, you could arguably be the second best light heavyweight. I don't necessarily think he is, but you could reasonably suggest that. And I'm actually going to play through the next clip because he does talk about that Anthony Yard fight, and whether or not that would motivate him to fight again.
Fight, I think outside the champions, that's probably one of the better fights to make in the division. So that's definitely a fight that does motivate me. If it gets off or gets made, then like I say, it's obviously a fight that I definitely consider. It's definitely a good fight, and ideally it could be for one of the vacant belts.
So obviously Callum Smith seems to be well up for that fight, particularly I'm sure if it's in Saudi Arabia on that card, and maybe you get a little bit. I mean, we don't even know if these fighters are getting paid great money to fight over there, but we presume they are.
Why would they say yes, though? Like, come on, Gavin Gwynn. He could have had a fight in Cardiff, and he said yes to going over there to fight Mark Chamberlain, so...
Not at all salty, are we?
No, definitely not. Our card in Cardiff is getting further and further away the weeks, because, what was it, Lauren Price last night, you said? Lauren Price, she could be, so...
Yeah, well, we can talk about that quickly. Lauren Price has put up on Instagram, and I think Ben Shalom has put something up as well.
I swear both of them were in Cardiff.
Saying that that her next fight is gonna be in Wales, or there was a Welsh flag.
No, what did she say on the Instagram?
So she was in Cardiff, in front of the Cardiff Castle or Castle,
Fight news coming soon.
Yeah, fight news coming soon with the Welsh flag, and Ben Shalom with her and Cara Saringstool, who's also from this neck of the woods, and he said, I talked to those guys and there's some bigger fight announcements coming soon, hinting at it being in Wales as well. So we might finally have our dream come true, and I mean, I think
what a main event that would be.
I believe it was annoyingly spoken after the end of the podcast with Jared about the possibility of Lauren Price fighting in the Castle, because if we had done that on recording, we probably could have said, I told you so, we seen it coming. Or Jared did, but is that is the event we're all hoping for? Is it in the Castle? Lauren Price on the card.
Yeah, it'd be
100%.
nice to have a Cardiff card for us to get down to, something a bit local. But yeah, hopefully it is in Cardiff and her main event in, or at least on the card. I think you obviously need to chuck a few Welsh fighters on there. It'd be a great atmosphere in there.
Well, going back to that Callum Smith Anthony Yard fight. Obviously, Matchroom versus Queensbury's coming up whenever it comes up in this year. Do you reckon that's the main event? Or do you reckon he's planning a bigger fight that we haven't even thought about yet?
I don't know. I think the problem was that I found when we were looking at the fights was finding 2 superstars in the same weight division. They seem to have their own superstars in separate places, and I'm sure that's a reasonable business decision to... Rather than try and go up against each other, they generally try and win their own wins. But I don't know if outside of Callum Smith, Anthony Yard, there is another 2 names that size that you could put together. But we might be wrong, and there might be someone might sign someone between now and then, and then they can fight on the card. I don't know. It's an interesting one that we'll see in the near future. And speaking of an interesting fight we're going to see on the near future, I've got 2 separate audio clips about Fury Usyk. The first one coming from Andy Lee, obviously the famous boxing trainer, talking about the fight and talking about what kind of shape Tyson Fury's in at the moment.
No one deserves anything in boxing. Nothing's given. You have to earn it. Well, he will earn it, and I think he's going to earn it. He's training extremely hard. I'm not in the camp with him. I'm going to go over for his fight. I will be there with him. But the reports are all good, and he looks great.
Does he stop Alexander Usyk?
I'm not going to say anything like that because it's disrespectful to Usyk as a champion himself. I think it's going to be a battle for the ages. I don't think it's an easy fight for either of them. They both have ways they can win, but I think Tyson has a lot more ways he can win.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I thought would be interesting to talk about is he says it's a fight of the ages. And I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on whether or not this is one of the all-time heavyweight fights. Do you think that's a fair tag, or can we not give that tag until after the fight's been fought and see how it goes? Or do you think, we've got two huge names in heavyweight boxing fighting for the unification of the belts? Is that an all-time fight?
Well, when was the last time we saw two heavyweights going for all the belts? I think that's why it's an all-time great fight. And the more we're getting closer and closer to the date, the more I'm slightly being a bit concerned over Tyson Fury.
Oh, I'm panicking now.
Yeah, I am.
I'm gonna lose my job.
I am, because Usyk, he's looking in incredible shape, and I think, have any of you watched The Gloves Are Off, leaked?
I've got an audio clip. The next audio clip is one of the audio clips from that one.
But I thought they both talked quite well to each other and saying that they're both men of God, so...
Yeah, it's just a great fight. It's just two great boxers.
The more I'm looking at it now, it's more 50-50, if I'm being honest.
Oh, he's changed his mind.
I'm shaking. No, my answer is like Ben's answer when we first put it up. Yeah,
I went with Usyk.
No. 5 minutes after, I don't know, maybe yes, no.
Yeah, I still think it's very close between the two, but I think Usyk's winning.
What
50-50
What percentage would you give it? So
60-40?
52-48.
52. Like Brexit vote, wasn't it? That was what that was. I'm gonna say I'm giving it 65-35, 60-40. I think Usyk wins.
The only concern is, can Fury outbox Usyk, or is he just going to have to use his power to stop him? Because that's the only thing. Because if he can't outbox, you can't outbox the best boxer on the world, so you have to stop him. And if Fury doesn't do that, I'll be singing the Ukrainian national anthem, I think.
I also think the thing, everyone's saying, it's just so easy. Tyson just has to lean on him and hit him in the body.
It's not as easy as catching him, or is it?
No.
But also, if your game plan is, okay, I'm going to get in close and I'm going to target the body of Usyk, then all that's going to do is mean that your hands are down and you're in close range to someone who's smaller than you. So, there'll be a filthy uppercut coming your way or whatever. So it is, if it was as easy as, you're bigger than him, just lean on him and hit him in the body, then, the heaviest, Jarrell Miller would be the world champion of the world, but he's not. Because it's boxing, and you have to be good, and your footwork has to be good.
What are we now? 3 weeks from it.
Yeah.
So
in terms of on paper, how big the fight is, I think it's one of the biggest fights in history. And sometimes you have big fights like this that don't quite live up to expectations. I think they're gonna be quite nervy, and they probably won't go as all out. But I don't think this fight is gonna be like that. And it's the type of fight that pulls in people that really, or probably might not ever watch boxing. They'll still sit down and they'll see this fight being promoted and think, that's one I want to sit down and watch. I think it's going to have massive coverage, obviously, massive viewership figures, and it's going to be huge for whoever wins it.
All I hope is that they keep the pay-per-view to the normal price. They don't put it up for that point that you made, that loads more people are going to be watching
I don't think they will, or I think they'll put it at a fair price. I think they did with Day of Reckoning, didn't they? Because they knew the eyes were going to be on it. I think they can do the same year and still make mega money, and it's going to be massive for whoever wins it, because I don't think we've ever seen a unified heavyweight champion. And then obviously it's going to lead to other big unification fights.
But the only one I've seen is Alexander Usyk, but that was at cruiserweight. But
was
he unified though? Because he won the Super Series thing that they did.
Yeah. So and then to move on for some of the promotion that's going to go on to make this the fight that it's going to be. Like you said, there was some leaked footage of the gloves off, and I've edited this slightly because Usyk spoke Ukrainian throughout the whole thing, still pretending he doesn't speak English. So I've kind of made it make sense.
He does speak English, don't he?
Yeah, of course he does. But we'll listen to that and see what you have to think about some of the maybe the outside of the ring warfare that's going on between the two of them.
Can't beat me. I know he can't. A man who wears an earring in his ear can never beat Tyson Fury. Ever.
You understand that?
Yes. Not a chance. No one who wears earrings can beat me.
It's Ukrainian warrior, Cossack.
Listen, in Ukraine, it means he's a good fighting man for him. But where I'm from, it means he's a with an earring in.
So, obviously, you know, Tyson Fury doing what he does best, and he's trying to get into the head of Usyk and undermine Usyk. And some people are saying that because Usyk responded with the earring saying what it was, that did get to him somewhat. Is this, you know, obviously this is part of the Tyson Fury games that he plays. Do you think Usyk is just too mentally strong to let it get to him too much? Or do you think, you know, there might be a little bit of Usyk, you know, fooling foul to Fury's word games?
I don't know whether it's, obviously Fury, he's always like a mind games type of person, whether he's trying to rile him up enough to, when they eventually get in the ring, try and turn it into a bit of a scrap, which I think would suit Fury more in terms of Usyk is going to need to use his movement, I think, to win the fight. So I think he's kind of hoping he can piss him off a bit to get the fight to go in, but
do we see him turn up in a Lamborghini and Batman outfits again?
I think you would see the week of the fight. I think he's going to ramp it up.
Yeah.
And the press conference, the weigh-in, I think he's going to really try and wind him up as much as he can, but I don't know, Usyk always seems quite calm, and he's obviously trying to just not let it affect him, but I don't know, I think we wouldn't see quite until probably the week of the fight how much he's feeling the mind games from Fury.
I just don't see it getting to Usyk too much. I think, and even if it does, I don't think Usyk has that sort of brawler in him where he's going to go, and that's just not how he boxes. So I think whether or not he's angry or he's whatever, he's still going to get in the ring and do what Usyk does, which is move well and fight smart, and work out Tyson Fury. And it's a question of whether or not he can work out Tyson Fury and act on it, or whether or not Tyson Fury can do the damage before, you know, Usyk makes that happen.
Do you think it shows a bit of Fury, where Fury's mind is at, where like the last few fights he's been quite respectful of opponents and been bigging them up, where other people have said it's an easy fight for him, and now people are saying, oh, this is an hard fight, and he's going, no, it's not, you can't beat me.
It was the same with Wilder though, weren't it?
Yeah.
They were saying that.
I don't know whether it's a thing with him of he's got a... Yeah, it's just a different sort of mindset when he knows he's in a tough fight, that he's got to try and pull the other person down.
He does it. He does do it in the big fights. Generally, Tyson Fury in his career, when he's been up against it and he's had some tough fighters to beat, he's done it. So it will be interesting, and I don't think we're going to see a Tyson Fury anywhere like the one we saw turn up against Francis Ngannou.
No, he's not going for the payday, is he?
And so I
think
we'll see a dangerous Tyson Fury, or as dangerous a Tyson Fury as we'll see at this age, at this point of his career, after that Francis Ngannou fight. But, you know, the question still stands, is that going to be enough to beat Usyk, or is Usyk going to be a better version of himself on the day? And we will wait and see. And to move on from that, speaking of fighters being better than one another, we're going to go for the blind rankings that you two are so looking forward to. Now, either one of you wanting to go first? You wanting to lay down the gauntlet?
I'll go first. I think you'd be nice. I'm hoping that you've been nice to me. But
so, Harry, for your blind rankings, I've selected 10 heavyweight fighters.
Oh, thank God. Right.
So you have to rank my 10 heavyweight fighters within order.
Easy.
See, I did pick it because I thought you were a heavyweight boxing man.
I'm hoping though that you've got the big names in, not just some random
Makhmudov. No. It's not the top 10.
Okay.
But they're all big names you'll know.
Okay.
So first name on the list, Deontay Wilder.
4. No.
4.
6.
Deontay Wilder 6.
Yeah.
Frank Sanchez.
Ooh, that's horrible. I don't like this. I put Deontay Wilder too high up. I'll put Frank Sanchez 5 because I think he's gonna do bits in the heavyweight division.
Ajit Kayabel.
8 because I haven't seen much of him.
Francis Ngannou.
10 because he's not a boxer, really.
Anthony Joshua.
Number 2.
Alexander Usyk.
1.
Zhilei Zhang.
4. Yeah.
Johnny Fisher.
Well, my number 1's gone, so number 3 will go Fisher. Actually, if you give me Fury now, I'm going to be furious.
Joseph Parker.
Oh. He's done... Oh, okay. Well, I've only got 7 and 9 left, so I have to put set... Well, he's going to be as high as possible, ain't he? Yeah, we'll put him at 7.
Jarrell Miller.
Oh, okay, yeah. Down the bottom for Jarrell Miller, yeah.
So, I want you to read us that out, 10 to 1, and if you can try and make it within 15 seconds so it can make a nice audio clip on YouTube, that would be great.
Top 10 pound-for-pound heavyweight boxers are Francis Ngannou at number 10, Jarrell Miller at number 9, Ajit Kayabel number 8, at number 7, Joseph Parker, number 6, Deontay Wilder, number 5, Frank Sanchez, number 4, Zhilei Zhang, number 3, the Romford Bowl, Johnny Fisher, and number 2, Anthony Joshua, and number 1, Alexander Usyk.
Wow. Johnny Fisher, the 3rd best heavyweight boxer in the world.
To be honest, I was waiting for Fury's name to be announced, but cheers, because that's why number 3 was kept.
My logic was thinking you were going to put Johnny Fisher 9.
No, never.
And then I was going to force your hand to put Jarrell Miller higher up in the card, was my idea. But never mind.
Never. Your plan didn't work. I'm too smart.
You did all right. You still didn't put him bottom.
Think, looking at that,
you think
maybe switch around Joseph Parker with Frank Sanchez and maybe move Deontay Wilder to 7.
And you're leaving Johnny Fisher 3rd.
Yeah, he beats all of them.
Okay.
The Romford Bowl.
And Ngannou loses to Jarrell Miller.
He's not a boxer. Come on, is he? That's my main reasoning.
Right, and then for you, Ben, I've put you down as a proud patriot, so I've gone for British fighters.
Oh, hopefully they're not from Liverpool.
Different weight divisions, so you're gonna have to. This is pound for pound rankings.
Ooh.
Joe Cordina.
Oh, why did you start?
Why with Joe Cordina? That's horrible. That is terrible.
1.
Ooh.
Chris Billum-Smith.
8.
Tyson Fury.
2.
You write this down, Harry.
Yeah, right.
Good. Gavin Gwynn.
I was nice. I was to my favourite fighters. Remember, Ben?
9.
9.
Sonny Edwards.
5.
Lee Wood.
Ooh. 7.
Liam Williams.
What have I got left?
You've got 10, 6, 4, and 3.
$10.
Wow.
Richard Riakporhe.
This is brilliant.
4.
Wow.
Callum Smith.
3.
Lee Cutler.
that leaves him with
number
7.
6.
Or 6.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
I was tempted to swap Lee Cutler for Anthony Joshua just to stitch you up, but
that is terrible. Fair play. That is horrible.
We'll have to next week or one of the other weeks.
I can't believe this though. You've got one Welshman as number 1, and then the 2 other Welshmen up the bottom 2. That's terrible.
Yeah, shocking. I'll have to do it in a couple of weeks. You'll have to do to me. Yeah.
This is horrible.
Right, Ben, give us your 10, and once again try and make it 15 seconds.
Right, so we got Liam Williams at 10, Gavin Gwynn at 9, Chris Billum-Smith at 8, Lee Wood at 7, Lee Cutler at 6, Sonny Edwards at 5, Richard Riakporhe at 4, Callum Smith at 3, Tyson Fury number 2, and the Welshman Joe Cordina at number 1.
It's not awful, to be fair. It's not awful.
Welsh. Yeah, the per Welshman.
Richard Riakporhe beating Chris Billum-Smith by a country mile, according to Ben's production.
I think Riakporhe beats Smith. So
yeah, fair enough.
So.
Big statement.
And then to move on from that, we've got another huge British fight to talk about, or fight card.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what? We'll talk about the Vegas card first. So you've obviously, I'll hand this one over to you, mate. You've got Johnny Fisher versus Dimitro Bezos,
former kickboxer.
Is
he got quite an interesting Wikipedia search last night, searching about this Ukrainian. 30 wins, 11 losses in kickboxing. His only loss was against a certain David Adelaide. He's got a bit of anger problems there, Mr.
I thought you were going to
Adelaide.
say Andrew Tate. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Which was for the European. He was undefeated before he came over to the UK. He's had all his fights in like Latvia, Ukraine, I want to say Brazil, he fought somewhere. But yeah, he hasn't had any wins by stoppage as well, so it was an easy night work for the Romford Bolt. And 10-1-0. So in boxing,
it's the Bison versus the Bull. So Bezos' nickname is the Bison.
Ooh.
So it's the Bison
like
versus the Bull. Which I think if you're talking in nature, I think a bison has a bull
That's a hell of
at
a
a
fight
fight.
there, yeah.
Because I'm thinking if you're growing up in the where bisons are the Arctic cold, right?
Canada, all I know, Canada. You see them
Like
on the pictures,
cold.
yeah.
So
Cold countries.
I think
Scotland.
But can a bison do it on a hot sunny day in Vegas? That's the question.
Wow.
And then you've got obviously the main card.
Hang on, you're forgetting more about Johnny Fisher.
Oh, sorry, I
He was
shouldn't.
named the best young boxer of 2023 by the Boxing Writer. So us journalists, we named him as the youngest prospect, and
the best,
he's
third
10-0.
best heavyweight by you.
Yeah, 10-0, 9 KOs. You know, he's making his American debut. So is the Bison, Bezos. But yeah,
Do you reckon this is a sort of tester fight for him? Obviously, Bezos has fought Adelaide, lost to him. Do you reckon this is sort of setting up, see how Fisher gets on, and then set up that fight, or
on the Matchroom card maybe?
Or yeah, I think most people are expecting Fisher to be on the Matchroom side in terms of heavyweight. You could have Solomon Dakers or Thomas, or I think them two are planning on fighting. So you could have the winner of that.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different options for him, but he obviously has to get through this fight.
It would be an interesting one because I mean, not obviously over on that card, but David Adelaide would be an interesting fight, I think, for Johnny Fisher. Adelaide's I think 12-1 now,
Yeah,
lost
his
to
last fight.
Fabio Wardley on his last fight, which
Battered, he was.
but it's certainly not a disappointing person to lose to. Wardley's an excellent fighter, so that would be an interesting fight to see, possibly, and a way for Fisher to continue in his meteoric rise as Harry.
Start taking those big steps now.
Well,
he needs to stop fighting these unknown fighters.
Since he's number 3 in the world, do you reckon he just skips past these and just starts fighting Gilles Zhang? You've got
to be honest, if you gave me Fisher number 1 first out the hat, he would have been number 1.
Fair enough. So what you're saying is he gets the winner of Zhang Parker gets given to Johnny Fisher, or the loser of Usyk Fury gets given to.
You need to do these rankings,
I
and then you can come back and
I will,
talk.
and I'm leaving my number 1 spot empty for when you say Josh Warrington as the last one.
I don't think he's in our list, Ben, is he? Completely forgot about him.
So yeah, that would be an interesting fight, but one I think we expect Johnny Fisher to win. And then we got Conor Benn versus Peter Dobson. Someone's going to get a 1 on their record in that one.
No, Michael Buffer, where somebody's has got to go.
And who do you think that's going to be? Do you think Conor Benn's, now he's been off the scrambled eggs for a whole camp, is he going to be the same fighter?
He didn't look as good, did he, in the last fight? He didn't look as powerful, which is a worrying thing, but I still think he gets the win this weekend. And one thing I did notice at Peter Dobson, this is his first ever 12-round fight. He's 16-0, but he hasn't gone past an 8-round fight.
He's also not fought anyone of the sort of the ilk of Conor Benn. This is the big fight for him. So whether or not that means the best version of him is going to turn up, possibly, or it might mean that he crumbles a little bit on the sides of the event, and only time will tell which one of those it will be.
This is his cup final day, on Saturday.
Yeah, if he picks up the win, it elevates him.
Yeah, he'll be number 3 in my welterweights.
And then Conor Benn has got a tricky few months ahead if he doesn't.
If Conor Benn loses, though, does he still call out Chris Eubank Jr. and get that fight, or do you reckon, I'm never going to box again in the UK, let's call it a day?
I just don't know if we're ever going to see that fight now between him and Eubank.
No, I think it might be one of the sort of a Calzaghe Frock sort of fight where it bubbles over always and never happens. Unfortunately. So are we all saying a Conor Benn win on that one? Is that the expectation?
100%. I think there's all Brits on the card as well. You've got Johnny Fisher fighting, and then you've got 2 other guys from Essex. I think it's all the Essex boys are over there. So yeah, easy win for Johnny Fisher, and I would say a fairly easy win for Conor Benn, but he might have to have a couple more scrambled eggs before he fights Saturday night. But also, have you seen as well, this card starting at the same time, or just an hour later than Buatsi Azeez. So they go in side by side.
They've tried to fit it in with the UK,
which I think is good.
It's smart because obviously the who's fighting.
Because have you seen this weekend's sport?
Yeah,
I was looking, starting from Thursday, the Premier League of darts in Cardiff. You've got Ronaldo versus Messi in Saudi Arabia. Friday night, you've got the Six Nations starting.
And Leeds versus Bristol City, of course.
What a game. I completely forgot about that. I'm so sorry. Saturday, Newport County, Swindon Town. There we go. Ben, who's Cardiff City playing?
Rotherham? I couldn't even tell you.
He's given up.
How good is sport at the moment?
Sport is mint at the minute.
It's unbelievable.
For sure. And I think, thanks to your best mate, darts is being talked about with a bigger profile at the moment than it has been previously.
I like it.
And boxing, thanks to His Excellency, is flying at the moment. Everyone's excited about that, and every big fight sort of outside of Saudi Arabia's got more excitement around it, because you're almost thinking, is that going to lead to a huge fight or a huge card down the line, over there? It seems that we've already, what is it? So you've already got, so the Beterbiev Callum Smith fight had barely ended, and you already had it being said by His Excellency that Bivol Berterbiev's going to fight, and then that fight's not for till June, but then the winner of that is already going to apparently fight Jai Opetaia, and then it's just like, well, you're basically into 2025 by this point, and we've it's already planned out, which is it's mental, but it's exciting,
really exciting.
And to move on, I think, to what might be the card that I'm most excited for, sort of outside of the big Saudi cards this year that we'll see, is this Dan Azeez Joshua Buatsi card. It's a boxer card, isn't it? So it's one, and for me personally, it's got two of the fighters that I put on my fighters to look out for in 2024. Start at the bottom with the first of that, Fran Hennessy fighting Laura Belen Valdebenito, another Argentinian fighter, 5-5-1.
Another. Was it an Argentinian on Saturday night in Belfast as well?
It was, yeah.
So they're all tough.
Donovan had to fight. So I think,
they're no easy fights.
It will be a good test for Fran. But it's a good way. I think Fran's a really good way to start a card like this, just because she's exciting. She's she always has a great walkout. I don't know if you always have seen this.
I can't believe how calm she is as well, walking to the ring. You think she's just walking out to have a night out, but it's unbelievable. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what sort of 80s 90s song she'll pick to dance her way out to this time, and that'll be an interesting one. And I mean, I foresee her winning it, because I think Boxer are building her up pretty naturally, and she's gone back to back pretty much as professional fights. She made her debut, I think, in September, October. She's only 19, and now she's already making her third fight, and we're only in January. It'll be February by the time that she's really being stacked up by Boxer to be the next sort of big thing in women's boxing. Do you foresee it? Do you think she'll win this one? Another sort of easy day, and then moving on?
Yeah, I think she wins. I think they, like you said, they're getting a good few rounds under her. And I had a look at Valdebenito. It's her second fight in the UK. She fought Chloe Watson, who's from Liverpool. She's 7-0 now, after beating her, I think, late last year. So that could be one that they may be working towards in terms of like a domestic clash. She'd be 3-0. You could have 3-0 against 7-0 if they want to try and risk it a bit. But but another one to build her up, I think.
Yeah, and I think
they're fast tracking her as well, aren't they? Because they can see the potential in her. Because she's a very good boxer. Daughter of Michael Hennessy, one of the best promoters out there. Promoted Tyson Fury. Yeah. Brother of Michael Hennessy Jr., who was also a good prospect, and then had his first loss and hasn't really moved up the ladder, as so to say. But yeah, really excited to see Fran fight again.
I think the only thing with this fight that I've seen so is Valder Benito fought flyweight usually, so I think her last fight she weighed in at like 113 pounds, and this one will be up closer to 120. Her fight before that she fought 107, so she's going to be jumping up a fair bit in weight, which might be to her detriment, but I don't think it's going to change the price of fish. I think that Hennessy would have won that one either way. interesting one about Vladimir. Her nickname's La Terrible as well, which is the terrible, which I think's supposed to be like the sort of the like terrible as in like it's terrible to fight her.
Not a terrible boxer.
But it does sort of come across as the fact that she's just suggesting that she's a bit crap, which is unfortunate. It doesn't translate so well, perhaps. And then moving on up, my second fighter to look out for in 2024, Ben Whittaker's fighting Khalid Graidia, who obviously fought. Was it Dan Azeez last time?
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
so he fought,
which is concerning for the main event, ain't it?
A little bit. And I think it's another one, unfortunately, with Ben Whittaker, where we're seeing him fight someone who you don't necessarily foresee beating him, which is a shame. But equally, it will be an exciting way to continue on the card, because you know that he's going to pull out all the tricks and probably get a flash knockout, as he always does. Do you see it being a problem for Whittaker, or is it another one?
Easy night work for him. Back in 2020, he won, was it a silver medal at the Tokyo Olympic Games? So
yeah,
he's, as you said, he's one to look out for, like Fran Hennessy is. Young, but he needs to start making those steps now, because he's got so much potential. He shouldn't be fighting, not journeymen, but he is fighting a journeyman again. But yeah,
I think it's the most important thing for him this year is to be more active.
Yeah.
Obviously coming off the back of that injury, but like you said, Dan Azeez has fought Graidia and only won with a points decision. So if Whittaker can go in there and make it look easy as he has done in his last few fights, then in terms of Azeez, it doesn't make it look good for him. But that Graidia is he's quite active. He fought 5 times in 2023, and he's already fought once this year.
Already?
He had a draw in January.
Christ, and he's 40 odd, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, he fights like every 2 months, pretty much.
That's how he makes a living.
Fair enough. You got to respect it. And then, to move on up from that, we've got Caroline Dubois fighting Miranda Reyes. So Dubois has obviously got the IBO World Light Championship, and she's coming into it 8-0. Miranda Reyes 7-1. So it's a decent opponent for Dubois. Is it one you see being a problem, or do you think it's very much a sort of a pace setter for a future big fight for her?
Yeah, I think it's the same as the other two fights we've spoken about. I think it's sort of building fights for her. Well, I think she's working towards. Well, she was working towards. She wanted Katie Taylor. I think she's mentioned.
That's a long way.
I don't think she gets that fight in terms of where Katie Taylor's at. I don't think Katie Taylor will have many fights left. I think the fight she has planned, I don't think she'll have Dubois in that sort of plan of hers. But you could Dubois, you could move her on to different domestic clashes. Rhiannon Dixon was one that people have mentioned, which will be a good one, both unbeaten. Or if they want to try and push her further, you got the likes of Chantel Cameron or Sandy Ryan as well.
The Sandy Ryan fight's good, but she's got experience now as well. Her last fight she went 10 rounds and won by unanimous decision over Magali Rodriguez, who was 22-6-4. So again, she's not fighting people with good records, but she's proven that she can go the distance, and she's got rounds under her belt now. And before that fight, or prior to that fight, and then she went the distance again. Before that fight, she went on a streak of 5 wins by TKO or KO. So because you've watched her live, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen her live.
Yeah, I was about to say, because she made a debut.
She looks very powerful fighter, as she showed with fights earlier on. I think now they're sort of just trying to get it in them bit tougher fights where you've got to dig in a bit more just to build that experience of when she's in the big fights, and you've got all that experience to sort of keep going when things maybe are not always going your way. But I think it's just still a building stage with her. I don't think she's quite ready yet to be put in with some of the bigger names of the division, but I don't think it'd be too much longer before we see her have a big fight. Probably, if not the end of this year, the next year maybe.
I think as well you've got Alicia Baumgartner's obviously a super featherweight. Caroline Dubois is a lightweight, so maybe down the line, now that Baumgartner's been cleared, that's a fight that she can drop down to. Or there is someone else in super feather that I saw. She's a Belgian fighter, and she's 49-3.
Yeah, that's the one that Katie Taylor, I think, fought in lockdown.
I don't think I've ever seen on any box rec or anything a female fighter that's had over 50 fights.
She's good as well. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I don't know her name, but if it's the one, she fought on the fight card in bloody Eddie Earn's
she fought in Matchroom HQ Garden, Brentwood. It's called on box.
Was it against Katie Taylor?
It was against Katie Taylor, which she lost unanimous decision.
That was. I remember watching that fight, and I thought that Katie Taylor lost it, but
she fought Katie Taylor in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the first time around, because it was a rematch.
First time around, yeah.
We won't talk about that night in MSG because it's quite sore for a certain Anthony Joshua.
Never mind. But to go back to
bad memories
to the Dubois fight, that's another one we're seeing Dubois winning. And interestingly, as I'm while I'm at it, Miranda Reyes La Alacran, I think her nickname is, which is the Scorpion.
You like your nicknames,
I
don't you?
I do. It's just it gives you a little bit about the fighters, certainly what they see themselves being. Jarrell Miller sees himself as a big baby, and that's fine. I agree with him. And things like that. It's just interesting. And Fran Hennessy sees herself as a $1 billion baby. So she also sees herself as a baby, but a very valuable one.
What's Caroline Dubois' nickname?
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline. That's a good one.
I like that.
That is a good one, to be fair. I should have known
just
that.
made that up on the spot.
No, it actually is. Now he said it. Now he said it. I did remember that. But yeah, maybe the Scorpion.
That's a hell of a nickname.
Maybe the Scorpion will have a sting in her tail on the night. See what I did there.
That's just a 15-second clip for you two there.
Yeah, pretty much. And then to move on up, another fight and another fighter that easily could have been on, and was it on one of our fighters to look out for?
Mine.
It was. I was going to say, if it wasn't, that would be it would be a disgrace. Yeah. Adam Azim fighting Enoch Poulsen. We knew this one was happening after the it wasn't the Magnificent Seven card, was it? Because he was on at the same time
when he beat Frank Petitjean in Wolverhampton.
And it was an impressive performance. I remember us saying on the podcast that it was a really impressive performance. The variation of the punches, the speed. I think
that was his big step up as well.
I think if I didn't say it on that podcast, I've said it on one more recently that he has shades of Amir Khan for me in terms of just the sheer speed of punches and the variation. And I mean, other than the chin we saw at the end of Amir Khan's career, it's not a bad comparison to have.
No.
But then Enoch Poulsen, 14-0.
As Michael Buffer says, somebody's has got to go.
And it's going to be interesting to see that fight. I think that's one of the first fights that, as much as we see Adam Azim winning that fight, it very much could go either way. Enoch Poulsen is a little bit of an unknown asset going into it, and he could be a top fighter.
Adam Azim also made history as well in his last fight. Became the first British Pakistani to lift the European belt. So he won't want to lose that. He wants to defend that and create more history come Saturday night.
Yeah, I think he's going to win. It's definitely his toughest test yet, I think, in terms of his career. But Poulsen is his first fight outside of Denmark.
Yeah, he did fight Petitjean in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and won that fight
in 2022
by unanimous decision. I don't think he's got a great KO rate.
They're both
it's only 5 KO wins.
And Adam Azim showed quite impressive power last time against Petitjean. Or I suppose, the amount of punches he landed wore him down and finished him off. We'll go for a sort of proper predictions for this one. Are you foreseeing Adam Azim continues on the streak and boosts his career upwards, or are we seeing an upset in... Where is this event, actually? I've completely blanked it. Wembley Arena, that's it, over... Because it was meant to be in the...
O2.
The O2, the original fight.
They had to cancel it,
and it's been cancelled and moved into the OVO. So you're saying an Azim win?
100%.
Ben?
But it's not as easy. Not easy win, though, in my opinion.
Win... How many rounds is it?
It'd probably be 12, wouldn't it? Because it's for the title.
Or was it 10?
It might be 10, actually.
10?
It is a 12-round fight.
Oh, it is 12.
I know my boxing.
Cold.
Within 6 rounds, I think, Azim finishes him.
Yeah, I'm going for that as round, like sort of mid to mid-late sort of fight finish for Adam Azim. I think he's just going to outbox him, outpunch him, and eventually just wear him down to one of those sort of, when it's sort of just like, they just sort of like fall over. Like it's not like a powerful knockout, they just kind of go down and you're like, yeah, you're not getting back up from that. That's what I foresee happening.
The worst thing is though, we have to be dual screening. Come Saturday night on the laptop, it has to probably be the fight over in Las Vegas, and then on the TV you probably got this.
Are you watching Johnny Fisher or are you watching the boxer card?
That's just a stupid question, ain't it?
I won't be watching the Vegas card. I think I'll catch up on that one on Sunday.
I thought on Saturday I've actually now paid for DAZN, and I thought I had a good deal of paying $199.99 for the entire year. And then I went on my calculator and worked out that you're still paying less than me.
Yeah,
with $6.99.
No, actually, there was an issue on my account, and they've charged me like twice for the day of reckoning thing.
What?
Which is just karma. So I'll have to phone him up.
What is James doing?
Get on the road with James.
God's sake, James.
Who's definitely not called James, but James anyway.
He's
and
our
then
James.
The big card to top it all off: Dan Azeez versus Joshua Buatsi. Somebody's O has got to go.
Didn't say that right though, did he?
Dan Azeez, sorry, he did not do the American accent, my bad. Fighting for the British and the Commonwealth belt. There's been a big back and forth going into this one, a lot of talk, obviously with the injury and lots of things going into it. Is it a fight you're looking forward to, and is it a fight you see being, a tough clash? Or Harry, I think you've hinted at the fact you maybe think
it's one-sided,
not going to be quite as close as maybe we think.
I remember watching Buatsi's debut, and he's different class to Dan Azeez. So one-sided. Buatsi has a 76% knockout rate. So, and his last fight was unbelievable. And Azeez last fight, he beat, what was the guy's name again? Mine's gone blank. Gardier or something?
Gradier. Khalid Gradier.
So I wouldn't say it's an easy night work for Buatsi, but Azeez probably needs to have a lucky punch that will take the lights out of Buatsi, because I can only see one winner.
Do you not think he's got any chance of outboxing him or
no
getting the better of him?
Buatsi's one of my favourite fighters, like Johnny Fisher, where both have got good character in the ring, but out of the ring they're so respectful, and that's what I like about boxers, when they show respect to each other. And I think the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, said that this fight is actually quite important for the light heavyweight division, because whoever wins this fight can then go and challenge the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol, because we're hopefully going to see that fight.
I don't think either between Dan Azeez or Josh Buatsi, I don't think either beat Beterbiev or Bivol.
But they'll have a shot. And that's what you want to see, a Brit going for a world title fight.
Buatsi was with Matchroom before as well, when he went to box.
I think Buatsi didn't believe in that DAZN would be as big as it is. That's why he left Matchroom. I can't believe how big DAZN is. When I paid for my subscription and looked on the app. You've seen that today. There's
a lot.
The Chess Masters.
Yeah,
Saudi Arabian Football League.
They got everything on there.
Oh my god,
they got everything. We're doing James's job for him here.
We are. We're advertising.
So I think to make the final predictions before we finish off the pod, I'm going to go off the start. I'm disappointingly, because I really like Dan Azeez as a guy. I think he's good fun. He has a lot, and I remember now I've seen a couple of his interviews. I said about a Beterbiev sparring camp where someone said that they all used to take it in turns to target different parts, and it was Dan Azeez that said that. So he has sparred with Beterbiev in the past, but I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get finished by Buatsi in the 5th round.
I have to agree with him, but I reckon 7th round finish Buatsi.
Is it a 12-round fight?
Surely.
I don't know, because my laptop's just died.
Oh no!
And then I tried to plug it in, and I've got those little like 4G Astro Black pellets. They're inside my charger from the bottom of my bag. So
it is going to be it doesn't say.
I'm guessing it's 12.
It's got
has to be 12 rounds, because it's got 2 titles, ain't it? British and
Commonwealth.
So yeah.
What are you saying?
Just you two have gone Buatsi.
Yeah.
You can be different. You can be different, Ben, if you want.
Go on, be wrong.
I do want to be different, but I just think Buatsi's going to win.
Easy?
Not easy. I think it'd be late.
Okay. He said. Can I just say, Ben said that Munguia would beat Ryder late, and
he did.
Called that. Well, if you say that a 9th round is late in a 12th round fight,
yeah, it counts. Well,
I did call the Jonas even though Like,
Yeah,
You did, to be fair.
didn't get the actual...
you called the people's choice.
Yeah.
the
Well,
winner,
this
yeah.
is a magical moment because it's the first time on the podcast we have entirely agreed on every fight this weekend.
That's not going to stay the same though.
Yeah, it's basically every British fighter winning. I think we've got.
Yeah, and maybe it goes a little bit back to what Sonny Edwards had to say, which is if you want an easy night's graft, go to Sky. You know, could we question Sky just a little bit on their matchmaking, or is it just because boxers are a relatively new company and they are still trying to build up their fighters?
It's that they haven't got the depth, have they?
I think it's a bit harsh. I think the only reason Sonny Edwards said that was because it rhymed. He didn't, and then he did a whole thing where he stormed off and he's very proud of himself for making it rhyme. But yeah,
Sonny Edwards is Ben's fifth favourite British fighter, so
he's a good fighter, Sonny Edwards.
He's a good fighter.
I like him. He was good on commentary on Saturday night.
He's really good on commentary.
Very good on commentary.
Well, like we said, what a way to end a monumental moment on the podcast where we all agree. If you guys you want to see any more content, we've got an extra episode. Was our last episode with Boxing Social's social media executive Jared Parry. Really interesting interview and a great chat. So if you haven't checked that out already on YouTube or Spotify, it's our last episodes. Other than that, as always, check out the Twitter this weekend for all the updates on the fights. How are you feeling? A little fight preview this weekend, or?
I might. See how I go. Thursday night I'm busy, but we'll wait and see on Friday.
So you might get a fight preview on the Twitter if Harry's feeling like doing his job.
To be honest, I completely forget sometimes.
No, I'm joking. And that's pretty much everything. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode.